Good evening, good evening. My name is Omar, and I'm here with the EC cohort, class of 2024, and today we're going to be talking about navigating higher education with all of our unique experiences and everything that comes with it as well. So this is part of the podcast series, Pass Me the Mic, so we're going to continue it on from this past year's cohort, and it's going to be a pretty cool conversation. So before we start going around and getting deeper into the details of navigating higher ed, we're going to start off with an icebreaker. So my name is Omar Diab. My pronouns are he, him, his. I identify as a white passing male, Syrian American, first generation college student. And our icebreaker today is going to be, if you were a car in the movie Cars, what car would you be? So for me, I think I'm going to be a Volkswagen GTI. And the reason being is I like German cars, and I had a GTI I've had two GTIs actually, so those are some of my favorite cars, and plan to get another one another day. So we'll go around this way.
All right, so my name is Fernando Martinez. I'm a part-time EC student. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I identify as a Latino male. And if I identified as a car from the movie Cars, it would be the Hudson Hornet, just because I own a Chevy Camaro and I'm into muscle cars.
Nice. Thanks, Fernie.
Hi everybody, my name is Susan Kenawati. My pronouns she, her, ella. I identify myself as Latina female. And if I were a car, I would be a Jeep, just because they're really big and you can go anywhere, and I just like them.
Nice.
And for me, my name is Brenda Covarrubias. My pronouns are she, her, ella. I'm Mexican American. I identify myself as Latinx and Indigenous. And let me see, a car I would possibly say that's my favorite car would be from the movie Cars, which is Lightning McQueen. I always say the motto, I am speed, ka-chow, especially I like to speed race and I love to be fast on the car.
Nice. Ka-chow.
I like that.
Thanks, Brenda.
All right, so my name is James Cha. I go by him, he, and his pronouns. I identify myself as a Korean American male, first generation student. If I were a car, that was a hard one for me. I was debating on what a motorcycle, even though it's not a car, or a Ford Raptor, but I would have to go with the Ford Raptor because it's been a dream truck of mine. And yeah, just look at it. Just,
Go for
you just look at it.
What is it called?
Ford Raptor.
Nice. Thanks, James.
And my name is Michael Corvera, first gen part-time student, so class of 25 here. For me, the car I would pick is the Batmobile, but from the Dark Knight Rises trilogy, just because I thought that car was super badass, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with.
Nice. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. So now that we know a little bit about each other, where we come from, and what car we would be, we want to start talking about the snapshot of our timeline when it comes to navigating higher ed. So essentially where we started, how we kind of went about things, and then where we ended up today. So for me personally, right after high school, I didn't really have a plan as far as what I wanted to do. It was definitely a difficult decision, and my parents were, they didn't really push me in any direction to pursue any things. They just said, we want to see you in a role that you can be happy with, but ultimately they still had like those Arab expectations on me, so something that I always kept in the back of my mind. But I just didn't really resonate with school. I didn't think school was for me, and that kind of spoke into me being confused on what I wanted to do. So ultimately, I made the decision to join the military, so I joined the Marine Corps. I was a 6531 aviation ordnance technician in the military, so I pretty much oversaw the weapon systems on aircraft, and actually ended up getting my wings to fly. So I did that from 2014 to 2018, and then as soon as I got out in August of 2018, I went straight to school. So I started over at Irvine Valley College in Irvine, and then I began my educational career actually as a kinesiology major, because I was really big into like the personal training. I was a personal trainer at that time, super big on personal training, and just kind of like the human anatomy, human movement. So that really piqued my interest. And then I stayed at IVC for about 2 years, and right before I transferred actually to Cal State Fullerton, I changed my major to human services, so jumping into the counseling field. And there was a lot of stuff that contributed to my decision that I'll be talking about here in a little bit. But it was a decision that I'm happy that I made and super grateful that I did. So then I transferred over to Cal State Fullerton, and then over there completed my studies, and I got my bachelor's degree in spring of 2022. And then here I am over at USC in the educational counseling program.
Right on.
Thank you for sharing, Omar.
Thank you for sharing, Omar.
And as for me, my journey, I'm a returning student. Right after high school, same thing. I resonate with you, Omar. I didn't know what I wanted to do. All I knew is that I was very good at soccer. So that was part of the plans. I played 2 years at Rio Hondo College. Right after that, I met my girlfriend, who is now my wife. And I stopped going to school. And then we currently have 3 kids. But in 2017, I talked to my wife. I know there's more to life. I could offer more from what I've been doing working at a high school. And I currently work at West Covina High School. And I started working there in the Office of Attendance Accounting. But at the same time, I also helped out the counseling team translate because no one wanted to translate. We have a lot of people that speak Spanish, but nobody likes to translate. And I was a new guy, so I was asked if I was okay with translating. I did. And shortly after translating, maybe, 5-10 times after I translated, then I saw myself doing this. So I talked to my wife. I re-enrolled at Rio Hondo College, met with a counselor. She helped me through the college process. So I attended part-time, finished in 2020. So I was at Rio Hondo from 2017 to 2020. Transferred to Cal Poly Pomona from 2020 to 2022. And now here I am with you wonderful people, kicking butt in this program. I hope.
Nice. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for
Pretty
sharing.
detailed journey.
Thank you, guys.
I can go next. So mine's really crazy timeline. So I was born and grew up in Honduras. I completed my K to 12, and I went to university for 2 years. I was studying nursing. I guess I always knew that I wanted to help people, and my grandma, she was a nurse, so I just want to follow her steps. Then during my second year of college, I was about to start my third year. I decided to come to the States just to study English, and then everything changed. So after taking just a couple ESL classes, I decided to pursue a degree. So I enrolled at ELAC when I got 3 associates, one in psychology, another one in social behaviors, and another one in criminal justice, just because I didn't know what I want to do. And I was so interested in different things. So so I entered transfer to UC San Diego. I got my bachelor. I started clinical psychology and a minor in education. And while I was in San Diego, I studied abroad to Italy and France. I was in Europe for 7 months. So it was really nice. I got to travel to different countries and just learn new languages. Actually, before coming to the States, I already spoke French and Italian. So then I had to start, I had to learn English because that was my purpose. So while I was in Europe, I decided I want to continue my education and start applying for my master's programs. That was really crazy. I guess if we touch about that, I can share some crazy stories. So I applied for 7 different programs, and I don't know how, but I got into the 7 programs, and I decided to just enroll at USC, and here I am.
Dang, that's awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Love to hear it.
We're gonna come back to the stories though when it comes to
Yes.
applying USC.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
So for me, I actually graduated back in 2016. I grew up in a small rural town called Farmersville, California. So mostly it's a population of mostly poor. It brought like a lot of negativity, how my community was defined, like one of the lowest and the weakest education we ever gotten. And yeah, I had a plan of what I wanted to do in my life after high school. Especially had a sister of mine that was the first one in my family that went to college, and she was the one that was my mentor, the role model, the one that motivated to get involved, apply to colleges, and kind of like get me out there and be prepared before I got out of the real world and even get the experience of going to college. And after high school, I did had a plan. My dream was actually job was actually becoming a mathematician professor. And after high school, I went directly to UC Davis. I was there for actually 2 months for a while, but things didn't go according to plan due to financial burden, and along with that came along the way was that I was going through a toxic relationship at that time, and that kind of brought me the downfall. Like I was debating should I even stay for the school and leave that time was actually my future boyfriend, but he was soon to be my future husband actually.
Oh,
And
wow.
the thing about it that time too, I was choosing should I go over my dream school and let go of my person, or should I return back home and come for my person. And I made a mistake and I ended up returning for him. And along with that too, I was trying to make it up that time. Like I wanted to be in school with him or be in his life or be part of my educational life. And yeah, I left UC Davis. Took a semester / quarter off that fall, and I went directly to community college, and that's when I started community college and see whether things would work out. But by the time I got there and when I started college with my person, things still didn't work out. So it kind of brought me to the downfall that I pretty much didn't know what I wanted in my life, and that was where the mentality came in. Like I felt ashamed for returning back in my hometown, going directly to community college, and people around my community were bringing up like rumors, bringing up negativity, like you didn't make it far, you didn't do anything with your life, and you should give up, like you shouldn't return, and there's no purpose of going back. And yeah, it did affect me a lot, but as honesty, it took me a process to get over it, and I just told myself, gotta make the best of it. And at first I had the assumption that I didn't want to go directly to community college, but as the reality is, I was really happy I did, because I felt like I needed to get to know who I am. And that's where I kind of feel like I wanted to take the baby step of trusting the process and taking on courses, and saving a lot of money actually. And especially it was a good thing I went to community college, especially I saved a lot of money. I didn't have to worry about paying so much for college, and I liked it that the part that the professors actually did care and really supported me, and I felt a sense of community, like the part that they wanted to like make sure that you get your toughest competitive courses done at community college before going to a four-year institution. And that time too, I was currently doing I still did the study that I had a dream, which was mathematics, but along with that, I did aerospace engineering. So I was there for 2 years. Once I was done, I went directly to transfer over to a four-year institution at LA, where I ended up going to LMU to do my BA in mathematics education, and along with my teaching credential. And by the time I transferred there, it was definitely a life-changing, especially I had a chance to connect, meet new people, and really get out of my comfort zone and really like show my community that they could also do it too. Because where I grew up, I don't see anyone from my community that ever like go far and beyond, and I really want to make a difference in my community and really let others from back home, like if I could do it, they could do it too. I know it's a lot of work, but they could get there. And after that, once I was done, I took I actually graduated pretty early. I graduated in December 2021. Once I was done, I just took another semester off, just focus on getting some work experience, where I ended up just substitute teaching, as an academic coach for one of my alma mater community college that I went to, which was College of Sequoias. That's where I found my sense of community. I was working there for a while, and then after I was done, I decided I might as well consider applying for the master's program, and here I am, USC, and yeah.
Here you are.
Wow, that's a powerful
Long journey.
story. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks for sharing. Yeah, powerful, fascinating stories from everyone. So as for my timeline, I graduated high school back in 2010, I'm sorry. Yeah, 2010, it's been a while. And like Omar Fernie said, I didn't have any plans. I actually really disliked high school. And I just didn't want to go to college and just waste either my or my parents' money, so I decided to enlist in the military. At first I wanted to join the Navy, but the scores weren't good enough, so I had to resort to the Army. And I enlisted as a combat engineer at 12 Bravo, and I served from 2010 to end of 2017. Got out in 2018, tried to go into law enforcement, but things didn't go planned. So I ended up enrolling into Fullerton College, where I majored in psychology. The reason why I picked psychology is because I wanted a degree without any math.
I feel that. I think we're on there,
No
except for
math
Brenda.
involved. So I thought that was psychology. Got my degree in psychology and transferred over to Cal State Fullerton and majored in human services for my undergrad. That's where I actually met Omar. And now here we are together at this program in USC.
Do you guys actually apply at the same time? I mean, you have to, but you guys like talk about it, or?
It's funny because I was actually applying to a program the MSHE program at Cal State Fullerton. And once I found out that that program wouldn't prepare me to be a counselor at a community college, all the other programs already shut down and closed their applications except for USC.
Yeah, well,
So-
that was.
Yeah, so then once James was telling me he was applying over here, we actually had an alum that worked in our department. She graduated from this program, and she was like, this is where you want to be. So I put all my eggs in one basket. I was in the fourth cycle. Is it the fourth?
Fourth, yeah.
Fourth application cycle, and
Yeah.
then, super grateful. Here I am. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
So, yeah, I'm here because of James, I'll say.
Nice. Yeah. Also fourth rounder as well. Like, kind of similar boat, yeah. I got too caught up in life that I forgot about grad school until like January. I'm like, oh man, like I missed all the deadlines. And I was like, whatever, I'll start looking later. And it wasn't until like, I think May after I graduated from undergrad, I was like, oh, masters. So I was like, whatever, I'll start looking for like fall of 23. And then I saw fall 22 for USC, so I was like, why not? Like, let's just go for it, see if I get in. If not, oh well, I'll just have to take that year off. But yeah, thank you all for sharing. Last one to go. And then first off, want to start off with that training, man. We should get to it on the summer. I'm trying to lose some weight.
Can I join?
Can we join?
But oh yeah, just going off of what you were saying, you know, I think we're all in that, well, most of us are in that same boat of confusion after high school. But yeah, at the same time, no guidance from your parents, because like, you know, first generation, they're just like, well, we just want a better life, and I don't know what that really meant. Just, you know, better income, stable income, less poverty, you know, better living conditions. But yeah, that didn't really explain anything to me. And at the same time, they're Jehovah's Witnesses, so like, they're very strict on a lot of things, and that was just confusion I had to deal with. Like, how do I break off? Because it wasn't me. But, you know, I'll talk about that later, I guess. But timeline. I knew I was going to go to college after high school. But again, I didn't really know how to navigate that. So I did get into Long Beach, Cal State Long Beach, Fullerton, and San Diego State. I think those are the only schools I applied to, yeah. Out of high school, and, you know, everyone was really happy for me. I was like, oh, wow, I did it. But then once we got to the financial aid portion and they're talking tuition, I'm like, I don't know what any of these numbers mean. I don't even know how much I'm going to get. So I kind of freaked out. I didn't accept anything. And then that's where shit hits the fan. Like, everyone's like, what are you going to do now? Like, you know, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, I don't know. It wasn't until like June that I was like, you know, I'll go to community college. Like, I'm going to sign up. Went to Orange Coast. This would be fall of 2013. I get a little surprise. I'm having a baby on the way as well. So I'm like, oh, okay. So, you know, off to a good start. Like, I have a baby going. Starting college, and didn't go so well once the spring hit. So many, like, doctor's appointments. I'm not doing well in school. I know I'm going to have to be there more for my wife and my kid. So I don't go to school for the next following school year. So I returned back to Orange Coast 2015. But I messed up because I just kind of left my classes how they were that spring. So my GPA was, like, terrible. I was not going to get financial aid. So I was just doing it all on my own. And I tried meeting with counselors. I wasn't getting the proper guidance. So it did take me a little bit longer because my original plan was to be an artist, graphic design in particular. And, once I started meeting friends, like actually connecting with people, I realized like we were all misguided. And I kind of became that focal, like, oh, ask Michael, he'll find the answer for you. And as soon as I was about to graduate, like, I do a lot of self-reflecting, and I just thought about, like, my journey, the people I met, and then that's when I realized, like, I'm kind of selfish in a way. Like, I only think about myself, like, I just look out for myself, but then people always come to me for help, and it confused me even more. I was like, so is my thing to actually help people, or do I just continue on my path and do what I want? Because that's what I've always known, was to be a graphic designer. So yeah, it was a little weird, but ended up going with the half and half. I'll do art and I'll do sociology, and see what happens from there. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I think I'm going to be a counselor. So go through undergrad, get my BA in sociology, which was just a year ago now, spring of 22, and here I am now. Like I mentioned, fourth round. So yeah, very happy to be here with you guys.
Appreciate that, Michael. Yeah, I
Thank
mean,
you, Michael.
rounds, right? You said some rounds.
Yeah.
I mean, we all started at different times, far back as 2013,
Yeah.
2018, all over the place. So, I mean, that just goes to speak on just our experiences while we're navigating higher ed. Going through different timelines, going through different time frames in higher ed means that we all had different unique experiences. But a common theme that I heard that everybody was touching on was right after high school, right? Not knowing what to do. And then with not knowing what to do after high school, that kind of goes into maybe some challenges that we may have experienced in higher ed. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some challenges and how those challenges affected us as we navigated higher ed. And that means financial aid. It could be your math teacher, your English teacher, sociology teacher. But in reality, how your positionality and who you are as a person and your experience affected you, and those challenges affected you in higher ed. But yeah, does anybody want to lead off?
I feel like I should start us off since we've been going
Go
same
for it, man.
cycle. So challenges, I mentioned a few already. So yeah, the financial aid aspect, not knowing exactly what to expect, that kind of just threw me off. Baby on the way, I had to support my family, work full time. So trying to navigate full-time school, full-time work, wasn't working out. I had to find like what works best. Again, first gen, so not having someone to rely on to guide me properly. And when I would meet with the counselors, again, it was just more confusion on that aspect. So yeah, and unfortunately, like, some of us are around the same time frame. 2013, there was remedial classes back then. So despite me being in calculus in high school, challenging the AP test for English, they put me in remedial English and remedial math. So I had to waste an extra year to catch up on math and English just to be at the college level. And that was always one of like the main things that like frustrated me. And I think that was some of my first experience learning about like student government and things like that, like advocating for the students, but I could talk about that later. But yeah, just those challenges, like there's already like a bunch of barriers in your way as first gen. And, I'm glad to say that now some of those things are gone, but I mean, there's still a lot of work to do. And I think, yeah, those are my main issues that I had going through. I mean, faculty-wise, again, I've seen improvement, but at the time, a lot of my professors were white, and it was hard to like resonate. A lot of the teachings were very old school, like just very dry, just test, learn the material, test. And, I felt like I wasn't really learning anything from those general education classes. And Again, things have changed as I was getting closer to finishing my undergrad. I started to see people that looked like me, people that were just minorities, whether it be, black, Asian, even like Caucasians, but not straight from, just American, but they were Russian or like they were Armenian. So it was really awesome to see that, it wasn't just one male white person that was teaching me anymore. I had women, I had, a bunch of different.
Saw that diversity.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So, really awesome to see, but yeah.
Awesome.
All right, so I guess we're going this way now. Before I share a fun fact, I found out that Michael and I went to neighboring high school around the same time frame, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Nice.
Sunny Hills.
Yeah.
Small world, right?
One apart.
Yeah,
I tried to go to Sunny Hills. I remember mentioning
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I know. All right, so my challenges, oh man. I think I just started off on the wrong foot I was just lost, completely lost. First gen, I'm sure many of you can agree. As a first gen student, I just had no idea where to start. I didn't even know how to apply. I was able to do my research and apply online, and after that, I was just completely lost. I didn't know how to register for classes. I didn't know what kind of resources they offered. I didn't know who to go to. I didn't know what classes to take. So I was just completely in the dark until I was referred to a veteran resources center at Fullerton College, and that's when they helped me get on track. So after I overcame that challenge of just completely being lost. The other big challenge was the whole transition from being in the military into what we call the civilian life, right? Just a whole different environment, different mindset, different experience. So just being in the classroom, I still to this day, I don't really like sitting in an enclosed area where it's very packed. And often you'll see me sit in the weight corner where I can see everyone along with the door. But just the whole transition into the college life was hard. So I would say those were my two main challenges. Just starting off just trying to figure out how to start off in the college, just navigating the whole college life, and the transition from the military to the college life. Those were the two biggest challenges for me.
Yeah, and I just want to add on, like you mentioned, adding the classes and looking at that, like, for us being pretty technology savvy, I don't know why that's always been so, like, I don't know, it just worried me. And then the schools all have different systems. Like, I did it one way at Orange Coast, but then I did it differently at Dominguez Hills.
Yeah.
And now I do it differently here. So I don't know. I don't know if the people listening can resonate with that too. But yeah, man, that could be very, like, intimidating, especially when you're just trying to do it on your own.
Mhm.
And sometimes you're just like, man, I feel stupid to ask, like, how do I even register? But yeah, man, thank you for touching on that, because that just brought me back to all those times I would register.
I think the pressure always, another pressure that adds on to that is like, just fear of missing out on class because you're registering too late, right?
Right,
So you're like,
yeah.
You're like trying your best to refresh and click, be right on time,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that just adds on to it.
Definitely. Even till now, like,
Right, yeah.
our classes are, like, gone, and you're just, oh, okay. Like, literally, it just
get.
opened up.
Sorry, I was one of them just clicking.
Yeah.
So for me, a lot of challenges that occur in my life. For sure, I did mention some before. One of them was definitely financial burden. Second, I was going through a toxic relationship back then. But the challenges I was facing, not really like major challenges that I was facing during community college, was the only thing I was dealing with. The challenges would be like taking on rigorous courses, like having to take like 21 units or more because I was doing a double major at that time. As I mentioned, I was a math major in aerospace engineering, and it was a lot for me, especially. I did have good professors, but as honesty, the higher I got to the highest courses, the more likely there wasn't really that great professors, and it was kind of like a challenging how to navigate of how to seek additional more support help in that, and yeah, but at least I made it and made it through and did the best I could to like just get it done and out of my way and not having to pay so much by the time I transferred over. And another challenge I would possibly say that was a challenge for me when I transferred to a private university, which was LMU. The thing that kind of was a big yeah, it did hurt a lot was the part like finding a sense of community, because by the time I transferred, it was really hard to make friends. And even they did offer like summer programs or summer like classes or ways to get involved right before you start your semester, and they offered that for me, but the problem was that I couldn't take them because due to my major courses, I guess it's a requirement that you have to take one unit in order to be part of the program, or you have to take it for the fall, and I couldn't do that because it conflicted with my major. So it was a sacrifice, the part that I couldn't really get the advantage of getting that first year experience, or kind of like doing like a summer bridge, a college preparatory or college 101 experience before starting the program. And yeah, it was a challenge just finding my group of friends. I did the best I could to really get myself out there, but by the time when COVID hit, that's when it got pretty crazy. Like, I just barely transferred. I was only there for like close to like 6 months, and yeah, I was already making my friends by that time. And but when COVID hit, that's when everything kind of like ruined my transfer experience or my college experience, and that's when a lot was going on, like going through mental health, the part that I just couldn't handle online classes and everything had to be virtual, and it was the part like not getting that sense of community or even connecting with your friends because everyone is online and you don't really socialize. And even like the part like attending like the social events or a club or organization, like not a lot of people would actually show up, and it broke my heart like not getting that experience of what it's like to be a college student at a 4-year institution, and that was definitely a challenge.
Yeah, definitely a lot of challenges present there.
Mm-hmm.
I think you brought up a good point that I kind of forgot to mention is COVID, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people went through hard times. Like for me, being stuck at home online, taking online classes, that was a big challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like you had pre-COVID challenges, and then you had COVID challenges,
Yeah.
and then you had post-COVID challenges,
Yeah.
all across the board.
Yeah, I think for everybody it's just different, because for me, I love during COVID. I was just
Mhm.
staying home. I really like it. I would prefer to have all my classes online, but I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna continue. I don't know even where I can start, because I feel like I have so many things to share,
Mhm.
before, like
Mhm.
from home and then here. So I guess the main challenge was just coming from a different educational system, because honestly, we don't have options. You have to go to college. Like
Mhm.
after high school, you have to. Like everybody in Honduras go to college.
Wow.
Just because it's free. Everybody go to university. You don't have to pay anything. Like health, everything is free. So yeah, and we don't have counselors. Like you just take an exam to get into school, and if you don't pass the exam, you're like, you don't have option. Like you cannot wait for next year to take again the exam. For example, me, I was trying to get into nursing because I want to be a nurse. So I had to take an exam. I had to score 700 points in order for me just to get admissions to the university, to the public university. And yeah, and when you get into university, they give you your plan. You don't have to meet with anyone. We don't have counselors. We don't have like faculty and like support systems. You just take your class and say you're good. That's why I feel like everybody in Honduras is really educated. And you
Mhm.
see like taxi drivers, and they are doctors, lawyers. That's the thing, everybody goes to university. So when I came here, I feel like I faced so many like challenges. First of all, just speaking English, I didn't know that language. And then just to know that you have to do so many steps just to enroll in college. Like, why? There's so many things that you have to do. Why? Yeah, first of all, just the money. That was really expensive, the classes. Then they told me, okay, you have to pay that many for unit. I'm like, why? Just why? And yeah, just financially, then have to do the whole process, just enrolling classes, meet with a counselor. I was like, what is a counselor? And then when I actually met with a counselor, it was really a horrible experience. I remember leaving that office crying.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's another story. But I remember just leaving that office crying. I'm like, what? And then I guess just living here, and I never thought that I was gonna get worried about little things about my accent. accent, you know, because everybody in my country are the same, you know, we're Hondurans and we speak Spanish. So I never thought I was gonna worry about not being able to communicate with someone. And also my identity, just, you know, worry about that and how I just being proud of my culture, I guess. I was questioning a lot about my identity. That's another challenge. And then when I actually, so I didn't know that back then you have to take an assessment test, and I didn't know it was like actual assessment test that depending like where you get, like your score you're gonna get to these classes. I didn't take that. I'm really serious. I remember I was just, you know, just clicking everywhere, and then they were told like, okay, you're gonna take these classes. And actually I didn't know that I started really low. You know, I had to take math classes and English classes, like really low. So I remember I was like, no, I don't want to stay too long in college. So I was taking 5 classes per semester. And I was actually working too full time because, you know, I really love traveling. So that's why I work a lot just to have, you know, extra money. But yeah, so many challenges, you know, just financially, like within myself, identity, knowing who I am, and just be proud of myself and don't worry about little things and how people react or think about me. And yeah, also mental health, yes. Just moving to a different country and missing my family, missing my friends, seeing all my friends that already finished their programs, they already have like relationships, children and stuff like that. I feel like, yeah, I'm missing a lot of stuff. Maybe just if I should have stayed home. But at the same time, I'm really proud that I decided to move here and just being able to see how much things I have achieved in just 5 years. So yeah.
Yeah, that's sounded like a roller coaster.
No,
for
it's crazy.
Yeah, especially coming from a different country where everything's like pretty streamlined, and everybody's kind of more or less forced to kind of go to school and pursue that. And then over here, people have options, you know, the land of opportunity. So that's just like a completely different worldview than where you're used to. So you had like challenges coming in and then challenges experiencing it too. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Thank you for sharing, Susan. All right, so challenges for me, I'm going to start, I was away from school like 9-10 years, so transitioning back into, you know, school mode. I think that was the first one. I remember when I enrolled at Rio Hondo College in 2017, I started out with one class, and I tried to find one class that fit to my schedule because, as you guys may know, I'm a parent, full-time employee, and fitting school and, you know, and our already busy schedules, like, it's tough. And I hate history with a passion. So that was one of the only classes that was open and available. I believe I did register kind of late too. So I took on history and I did pretty well. So after I took one class in my first semester in 2017, then I pushed for 2 and then 3 until I was already taking 4 classes like on my 3rd year, which I pretty much had to if I wanted to finish by summer of 2020. So that was definitely one of the main challenges. Another struggle was like, I didn't know if I was gonna be able to balance, you know, the demands of school, work, and family. That was another big one for me. But I think slowly, with time, I learned to adapt, and I was able to balance out a little bit of everything, especially because I have my son in travel soccer. He'll play Friday nights for sure, sometimes Saturdays, sometimes Sundays, sometimes both. So sometimes like Friday, Saturday, and Sundays I'm with him, whether it's a tournament, a regular game. And then my daughter, she's in travel dance. So my wife helps out in that department. She's the one that takes her around wherever they travel to for competitions. Another challenge I'm going to say is being forced to make hard choices between education and careers, especially right here with this program. I really wanted to be full-time, but due to the fact that I need to work full-time, I'm not off till 4:30, and I know most of the classes start at 4 right here, so that's the only reason why I had to do the part-time program.
Oh, wow.
And well, the last one, like you all said it, financial resources, especially as a part-time student. I think Michael can resonate with this. We touched a little bit about this subject. I thought I was searching for the wrong scholarships or looking at the wrong places because everything said you must be full-time, be full-time student. And I'm like, dang, I don't qualify for anything except for that GSG that, our faculty offered, which, it'll be used for workshops because workshops, definitely, they're going to help out throughout our journey, connecting with people, acquiring knowledge of different careers in this field, and just in general,
Yeah, I think going through school as a parent's like a way different experience than going through not having any kids or even a spouse or a girlfriend too. So hats off.
Which I'll touch on that on the successes. 'Cause I have something to say about that.
All right, we'll hold you to that one.
And then just like touching onto that, like everyone has a different version of like what sacrifice means to them too. Like for me, some things were non-negotiable. Like my daughter's award ceremonies, like I'm going. I don't care. It could be 8 a.m., 4 p.m. I'm gonna be there. But for other people, they're like, nah, I'll put my family second. I'll put my education first. Like in the long run, it's gonna work, right? And I'm like, I mean, again, values like. For some people, okay, yeah, that makes sense for you, but like for me, it doesn't make sense, and yeah, I just want to touch on that too, because like people don't realize like how important some things could be to you, and I respect either or, so yeah, but that's just for me, man. It's just like, yeah, I'm gonna do part-time school, full-time work, but even with full-time work, I'm gonna miss out on hours if I have to, if it means something for my daughter, and yeah. Just wanted to touch that.
And it also works vice versa. When I'm gonna touch up first, like when I take my son to soccer games and he scores, he'll look at me with a big old smile, and I'm like, it's my son.
I feel that.
Give him the thumbs up. When my daughter, she actually had a competition on Sunday in San Dimas, and she's in 7th grade, already competing with high schoolers in their division, and this is the first time she took first place.
Nice.
So it was definitely, I wasn't there, but because my son had a 1 p.m. soccer game, but my wife was there. She recorded everything and then, just shared it with me after. But another thing I wanted to share on that, where it works vice versa too, I remember when I walked at Cal Poly Pomona, just seeing my kids right there in front of the line, just looking at me, it was, I don't know, I guess I got a little emotional. It was a very nice, weird feeling because
It's a proud moment.
yeah, I've never felt like that before, so it was like a first time for me. I don't remember if I teared up or not, but I think I might have. And that's not me because I don't know. I'm not machista, but it happened.
Yeah.
It was a nice feeling.
It happens.
Yeah.
Proud dad moments, right?
Yes.
Moments, yeah.
And it was a proud kid towards a dad moment too.
Exactly.
Man, when I start thinking about my challenges, it's honestly pretty difficult to think about, but I do find it healthy to reflect back on it, just because I learned a lot from my challenges, and I think my challenges pushed me in a different direction while I was navigating higher ed. So pretty similar to James actually. The thing is I heard about all the challenges that vets face when they're separating out of the military. So I did my due diligence. I attended all the workshops within the last 3 months of me getting out of the military. I made sure I was already enrolled in school. I made sure that my health care would land back on my parents, or I would apply for VA health care. So I was doing everything I can. But then as soon as I got the famous DD-214, which is the separation paperwork, out of the military, it just like everything hits you at once. You don't have a job anymore. Your pay is immediately gone. If you don't have any resources at home or you don't have a place to go to, then you're just with what you have. It's just your belongings. So you're essentially just kind of, you sign the paperwork and then you're out and you're on your own. So, luckily and I'm grateful that I had my parents. I moved back in with my parents. But the challenges that I were experiencing was more of the adjustment of getting back into the civilian sector. I remember the first class that I attended was my Psych 101 class. and I was the first one in the classroom. I showed up 30 minutes early because I got so used to showing up everywhere super early. Sat in the back corner of the class, pretty similar to what James said. And then the professor walks in and he was like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, and I got pretty defensive, and I'm like, "Who are you?" So I like give it right back to him. He was like, "I'm the professor," and I'm like, "Well, I'm the student." And then he smiled, and we talked for a little bit, and we got along pretty well. But then once all the students started to come in, like nobody sat next to me. I was just in the back by myself in the corner. I was wearing like a nice polo, nice pants, like brand new shoes, like first day of school vibes.
Yeah.
But nobody sat next to me. Nobody spoke to me the whole semester in that class. I actually didn't talk to anybody in any of my classes in my whole first semester. And that's what really started to affect me. It's because I was always thinking like, yo, it's me. They're all talking amongst each other, so it has to be me. So I was putting a lot of that on myself. And the depression hit pretty hard. The anxiety when it came to showing up to school hit me pretty hard. I think at the end of that fall semester, I was debating like, hey, I'm just gonna go do a journeyman job. Like, I don't think school's for me. I don't think these people can know who I am or what I'm about. And I think it was also that mentality that I was like 5 years older than a majority of the people in my classes. But if it was this one guy, towards the end of the semester, he didn't show up at all throughout the entire semester in our math class. And I had to do one of those remedial math classes too. He shows up the last day and he looks at me and he was like, "You look like a vet." And then I'm like, and I was like, and I looked at him and I'm like, "You do too." He was like, "What branch?" And I'm like, "Marines." And then he was like, "Come to the VRC." So at that point,
Nice.
that's when I showed up to the VRC for the first time, and the VRC is what really just like held me and kept me in school. Just because there's everybody who was a vet would go in there. All the staff was super friendly. They were very military accommodating. And then I didn't know how to use my benefits that I earned in the military, and I didn't use it my whole first semester. So I struggled to find a job, struggled to make money. And then once I started receiving my benefits, part of your benefits is you receive a housing allowance, so they pay your housing. So once all that started and everything, things got better. But I think the one thing I struggled with, and it was pretty consistent throughout the duration of my undergrad, was just connecting with other students and connecting with faculty. It was hard to kind of explain myself at times, especially with my personal health issues that I was experiencing. I don't know if you guys know this, but to get an appointment with the VA, it's almost like 6 months out type of thing, sometimes even longer. So if you don't show up to your appointment, then you're waiting another 6 months to get another appointment for whatever you're being seen. It really doesn't matter. So there are some times where I was about to throw hands with some professors because they said that I couldn't miss a class. And then I really had to make these doctor appointments. But yeah, I mean, those were some of the challenges that affected me the most. But, with all like I said earlier, the challenges are where I learned from, where I was able to grow. And, a lot of the leaders and the people I looked up to along the way provided me with guidance that I'll never forget. And it was mostly focusing on that self-reflection piece, and something that I do on a consistent basis at this point. But with all those challenges came with a lot of successes too. So that was kind of going into our direction of how did our challenges kind of mold us into who we are today, and then with the successes that we've had along the way navigating higher ed, how did that impact us? So for me personally, one of my biggest successes, I would say, was becoming a work study. And being a work study at a community college, because at that point, that's when I started to build that campus community and really start feeling that campus community. Started connecting with professors a lot more, and specifically with other vets too. Vets who were experiencing the same challenges that I did. We were all there to uplift and empower each other to reach our fullest potential. And from being a work study at that point, it prepared me to jump into another work study position at Cal State Fullerton. And over at Cal State Fullerton, it was like a completely different work study environment, because work study over there is like it's a job and everything is very serious. Meanwhile, when I was at community college, we were riding golf carts, we were playing softball games, playing cornhole in the back all day. It didn't really feel like work. The whole point at the community college was to build community, and that's what we did. But then I got my feet wet into advising at Cal State Fullerton. And that's when I really started to like advising, because I learned how to connect with students instead of seeing myself as a problem in front of them. So I started to take students as they were and who they were. And in turn, I would present myself as one of their friends, somebody who can meet them where they're at, type of thing. And at that point, once I started to really figure out the advising piece and working with students and navigating higher ed, and I would say finessing the system in a way when it came to financial aid and a whole bunch of other stuff, that's when I really started to equip students with the tools that they needed to succeed. And eventually that led to full-time employment, my first full-time job over at Cal State Fullerton, where I was an academic advisor, school certifying official, work center supervisor. I was overseeing, I think, about over 20 work studies. So students were starting where I started too, so that really humbled me. And I always used to constantly remind them, you never know where you'll end up within 3 months, and those things that keep me motivated, and it makes me think about what more can I do to give back to the community for what I received as well. So those are some of my successes that really stem from the challenges that I experienced.
Nice. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And I guess I'll take it from here. So I said I was going to touch on it later, and here we are, student government. So I couldn't think of the words, but hearing you say it, work study. Yeah, I was offered work study my second to last year at Orange Coast. Yeah, little did I know what I was getting myself into. All these, to me, they were nerds at the time. Like, they're just squares. Like, all they cared about was looking good on their resume, being in all these committees, student advocating, like internal event creating, or even going like to Sacramento, like, just those people. And at first I couldn't really like resonate with them, because a lot of them were very privileged. Like, they knew why they were going to community college. We were just a stepping stone for them to go to eventually UCLA, UC Berkeley, USC. And so they were very like proud of it. And I was like, oh man, like, you're just a snob. Like, you guys can't really relate to the struggles. And that's where it got interesting, because they would start asking me, because they would see me all the time, like, oh, what are you studying? What are you doing? And they would ask me, like, do you have any concerns? And I was always pretty shy, but I don't know what happened around that time. Maybe because of work study, like, I saw that campus as, like, it's my home now. Like, these students that I see are going through the same issues as me. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I was like, remedial classes, they're stupid. Like, why are we even doing them? And, like, I just went on a rant. And next thing I know, a couple years later, remedial classes are gone. And I was like, wait, what the heck? And as I find out more, like, student government were the ones, like, responsible for not ours only, but, like, from every community college, they gather and present at Sacramento, and, they'll present it, and then the state will be like, yeah, you're right, or no. But little things like that where I was like, we don't have any support as first gen. Next thing I know, there's an equity center now, and it's just open for everyone. It's just what you said as well, Omar. Just equipping the students, like, oh, like, you're first generation. I was like, did you know there's this program, this program, this program, this program? Like, you qualify for all of them. Just do it. And seeing them take advantage of those resources that were once not available to you, like, it makes you so happy. And I think that's what definitely kickstarted, like, dang, I should really be, like, a college counselor. But, yeah, the successes from that was just, for me personally, like, I had to be my own cheerleader. I didn't have anyone to support me, tell me, you're doing great. So I was like, you know what, like, I'm going to do something with my life. Going into the challenges, going back to challenges, like, this a constant in my life was like, oh, you're not good enough. Like, you're lazy. You're just another Mexican kid. And it's like, first of all, I'm not even Mexican, I'm Central American. But, just those little microaggressions towards me, like, eventually I was just like, no, I'm gonna do it for myself, and especially now having like a family that, to me, I was like, they're my priority. I have to do things for them, and just resilience, honestly. Again, just believing in myself, and there was a point in my life where, even though I was going through college, I was like, okay, I'm only good enough for a Cal State, so I never set my mind on a UC, never set my mind on a private school. And then eventually I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I was like, I do need a master's, and I feel like my master's is going to matter the most. Where do I do this master's? And at that time, my way of thinking changed, where I was like, you know what? I'm not going to limit myself to a Cal State. I'm going to go to a private school, and I'm going to show that I can belong. And, you know, again, here we are. So that's my success. My advice to future cohort mates, possibly, or anyone that's considering a school that they may feel like they don't belong. You know, you belong as long as you believe in yourself.
It's powerful. Yeah.
Good advice. So for me, I think my success story started off not at the VRC actually, but with the VRC counselor. I mentioned earlier when talking about challenges that I was just lost, and I was referred to a VRC counselor, and he is the one who actually really took his time to help me through all the steps A through Z, and really guided me throughout the whole community college, and that was very impactful and powerful. I just one person can have such big impact on someone, you know. But other than that, to be honest, at Fullerton College, I didn't really have a good taste at the VRC itself. But as I transferred over to Cal State Fullerton, during my second semester at Cal State Fullerton, and like previous to y'all said, work study. That is what really made me get involved with the school, with the VRC, and that's where I found this a community that I belonged in, and I really enjoyed every single minute of working there with my fellow veterans or military connected students, and just helping students out in general, you know. And yeah, from there I just connected with so many people, and it was just great. And now here I am. Omar used to be my supervisor, and now now I'm at the position that where he was at. I am now the school certifying official and advisor, and I oversee some work studies. So yeah, it's interesting to see how things cycle around and people come and go. But yeah, powerful moments at Cal State Fullerton VRC. They say Cal State Fullerton VRC is one of the best in the nation, and I believe it. To be honest, yeah.
Second that.
I'm curious how you guys met, because I feel like you guys have so many stories together, so I just wonder how you guys met.
Well, it's funny because James and I had the same major, and we had like the same class. We had like 4 classes together,
yeah.
and then like the first 2 we didn't really like know each other, talk to each other.
And this was during COVID. It was all
on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it was our what was the name of that class?
Crisis intervention, I think.
No, it
before
was
that.
the one in group.
Not
Character and conflict.
Character and conflict. That's what I
So
meant,
where it's
yeah.
like pretty much group counseling. So James and I were in the same group, and that's where we got super vulnerable in that group. Definitely knew a lot about each other.
Yeah.
And then I told him, I'm like, should apply to the VRC. And then applied at the VRC, brought him on next semester, and then it's been homies ever since.
Yeah.
Nice.
He worked. I don't like saying he worked underneath me, but we worked with alongside each other. So he was like my main right hand, especially when I used to get like super busy.
Nice.
So
It's awesome.
earned that spot. Definitely not getting.
It's funny because I told Omar. I told Omar, I was like, hey man, I'm gonna take your spot one day.
Yeah, you did.
Sure enough, I did.
You did. He took over my office, my desk.
And made it much better too. I'm just kidding.
He's got a fish tank in there now.
Oh,
But thanks for sharing, James. Appreciate it,
Thank you
man.
for sharing. So for my successes, even though I'm always mispronouncing the word, successes that impacted me the most, a lot of things I will say. One of them for sure was during my community college. I had like a counselor, her name was Stephanie Alvarado. She was definitely amazing. When I first started at community college, I told myself there's nothing to do around the community college and that, but until I got to meet my actual counselor, which was her, she actually like felt like there is something you could do, like make the best of your time at a community college and get yourself out there, get involved, or find a community that you're really interested in. When she provided me all that guidance and the resources and getting me getting a better understanding of what they offer on this campus, it really got me the motivation. It took me a while process, but I was like saying, I will give it a try and see how it goes. And until I did that, like for that first semester, that's when I was like saying, oh my God, it's mind blowing. Like now I need to be part of this community. And that's when she kind of like felt like I could be so much more. And that's when I was like saying, get involved, see if I could run like for e-board or run for student government and that. And when that day came after the first year, that's when I was like saying, yes, I love this community now. I want to create changes, do something, or make it the best as for students. Especially, I know there was a mentality that students have, like community college is not a great school, or the part that there's nothing to do there. I feel like there is something to do there. It's more like you got to get out there and find the resources and really take advantage of making your community college experience like great. If you really want to make it great, it's up to you whether you decide whether you want to make it good or bad or whatever you want to do. And that really did brought my attention, and that was really like impactful to me. And then that took me a while process to understand. And another success I would possibly say would be the time when I was actually at LMU. I was actually doing my teaching credential, where I was trying to soon become a teacher. And what was the most meaningful to me about that one is really getting advantage to work with students from a younger age to adult age and that. And I remember at first I told myself I would never work with the little ones, but until I met the little ones, I started to fall in love with them. The reason I didn't want to work with the little ones because I had an assumption thinking I don't think I have a heart of a child, or thinking that I'm not going to do great with kids or have the patience or the energy to work with them. But until one of my fieldwork instructors, they were telling me they're going to place me in the kindergarten, I didn't believe that would happen, but I actually quite enjoyed it. It was so fun. Like I get to work with them, like social, emotional, and really like bring, like really be part of their life. Because I remember as a kid, I never had that experience. Because I remember as a kid, like teachers, some of them would be caring and some wouldn't be caring, and I kind of feel like I want to be that teacher for them, and really like make their education fun, engaging, and really like make the best of it. And that's when it kind of got me thinking, like I actually had a passion of teaching, and to this day I still have the passion of still teaching. And even like right now I'm working as a substitute teacher, and yeah, I love it so much. But that's when it came to the conclusion when my students asked me like, do you really want to keep on teaching? That's when they were asking me like a question, you would be a great counselor or you would be a great principal. And when I heard those words, it really sparked me, like the part like, are you really positive, like you think I am I could be one of them? And they describe it in a good way about it, especially the part that they noticed that I provided so much resources, I actually listened to the student, and even the part too that the student likes it that I'm able to like provide them suggestions or advice or anything they need from me, whether it's emotional, social, academic, career-wise, and that. And that's when I was like saying I need to do something bigger than that. And that's when counseling got into play. And that's what I was like saying, I really want to do counseling. And that's where I really want to listen to the student and not just being that person, just giving the sources and just let them be, or just give them all. And it's like I really want to get to know the student. I really want to listen to them and really understand where they're going through and find a way to support them as best as I can.
That's awesome. You got thrown in the deep end with the kindergarten class.
No,
you learned from it, right?
Well, you can do both, teaching and counseling. So.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And teaching is fun.
And shout out to Stephanie, man. Like, it's really those huge people that, like,
Oh, yeah.
like, I think I had about 7 counselors, and I only remember one name.
Mhm.
And yeah, she was a big impact. Like, again, it goes back to community college. Like, for me, it got a point where I was like, I'm just going to do all my ed plan on my own, but I still wanted to double check, so I was like, I just picked a random counselor. I was like, hey, I don't need an ed plan, just double check this. Am I good to graduate and transfer? She went over it, she was like, yeah, this is awesome. She was like, who did this? And I was like, myself, and, you know, whole conversation from there. But yeah, to this day, definitely still remember her name, just like Stephanie. So shout out, Deanna, you're awesome. So I wouldn't be here without you.
Shout out to Stephanie and Deanna.
That's funny. I think I can agree with you guys because, well, actually, it's hard for me just to think about a specific like story like bring me to success. But I can say that I also worked with kindergartens when I was living in San Diego, and it was crazy. They're crazy. They have so much energy. And I remember at that time, most of my classmates they were white. And I used to be really afraid just speaking in class because, you know, just my English is not perfect. But I remember when I was teaching those kids, I was teaching Spanish. And every time I talk to or just read a book in English, they were like, you sound so cool. You know, you have an accent. Where's your accent from? But they were so really nice with me. And they were like, oh, I want to learn Spanish because you sound so cool. So they were really nice. So I think that was really good experience. And also, you know, having meeting with a counselor, I remember, like I said before, I really had a bad experience with a counselor, and I think that's one of my success stories. Just because of her, I decided to pursue a degree. But she told me like, oh, you shouldn't, you know, like focus on general classes. You should focus just in learning English. I was like, I don't think I want to waste time. I don't think I want to do that. But just the tone she told me and the way she was talking to me, I think she was being a little bit mean. So, but because of her, I don't remember her name though. We'll just say it.
No shout out to her.
No, not a shout out to her.
She did an okay job.
Yeah, I think just because of her, I was able, you know, to do my best and yeah, push through college. And I think another good thing was just having the opportunity to study in different countries. Because I used to think like, oh, you know, I'm so behind just because I didn't grow up here. I didn't go to college here, so I don't know, you know, the whole process. But as much as the time goes by, I think I'm more like proud that I studied in a different country and I have so many different experiences.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say you have a pretty comprehensive worldview. Getting to learn in different countries, experience different cultures. Those are some things that, different education systems. I mean, people will go out of their way to pursue those things, and then at some point it just happens naturally. And in your case,
and
you
I
get
used
to
to be like ashamed of that, like just saying, oh, I didn't grow up here, I didn't go to college.
gotta
you
be
know,
proud
just
of that.
I know, and I'm proud of it.
Yeah.
I think it also takes courage too.
Yeah,
That's
for
huge.
sure.
Well, I'm going to jump in. I'm also going to throw in a shout out to Counselor Andrina Lucero at Rio Hondo College. That was the first time I met a counselor that was very thorough, you know, with the steps I needed to take in order to be successful. And thanks to her, you know, she guided me throughout my journey at Rio Hondo College and made it a smooth one. But I also want to give a shout out to my family, my wife, for being very supportive throughout this journey, including faculty and our peers, you know, our cohort. This is really like a family. Just like how I'm going to quote our professors, everybody just teaches with that notion of love. I don't know if it kind of sounds cheesy, but, you know, our faculty, they teach with their hearts, you know?
It sounds
The heart and
cheesy,
soul.
but it is.
But it's true, you know? Like, also, you know, where did I leave off? All right, yeah, you know, this is a school, an institution where everybody supports each other, and you know the support is there. Whenever we need to reach out for anything, you know, they're very flexible. We need to, you know, submit an assignment a little bit late. They're flexible. So those are just some of my experiences by far.
Thanks, Fernie.
Shout out to the EC cohort and the faculties.
Yeah, yep, shout out.
We love you guys.
Yes, sir.
And yeah, just I guess you reminded me of the whole purpose of this podcast from the first cohort graduating this spring. It was just to see, like, originally what USC is doing right and wrong, but we just wanted to take another notch. We just wanted to humanize ourselves, like, because again, it's a prestigious school, but we're here. We're happy to be here, and we're here to make change. And the counselors they're counselors, but they're instructors too. Most of them are just instructors now, but they have our backs, and they're really, like, enlightening us with things that we may not have considered, or even just amongst ourselves. Like, I've learned so much from you too.
Yeah.
Like,
Smart.
just again, like you mentioned, for veterans, like 6 months for an appointment. Like, I'm like, damn. I was like, I should have seen that coming, but I didn't know. Like, that's knowledge I didn't know. Or like the other traumas you guys face, or like traumas like international students face. Like, that's things I never considered, because I would say I had tunnel vision. Like, I just need to focus on that first gen Latino student. But just being here, I'm like, actually, there's a lot of work to be done, and it's getting to the point where, like, I came in here to be a counselor, but I'm getting to a point where, like, do I have to do more in order to see this change? And I'm willing to do it. And again, like Fernie mentioned, there's support to get us where we need to be, to do what we came here for. Just make the students' lives easier for next generations.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, I think you bring up a lot of great points, and if anything, I've learned from all of you throughout this time, with all of our unique experiences, diverse experiences. I mean, you could have came from a combat zone, had kids at a younger age, which may have, had you experienced a different set of challenges throughout your educational experience. Coming from a low SES community, being an international student. So I mean, all of our experiences together just creates like this super diverse and super welcoming and a belonging environment. So I appreciate you all for sharing and telling each one of us about your experience. So to close off, if you had to give one piece of advice to yourself, we'll call it in your first year of college, what would that one thing be?
I think we're gonna need like a couple seconds.
No, I
Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
All right.
Once you got it, just say it.
First year of college, to myself, oh man, I'll tell myself to go out and seek help and resources, because if you're not seeking it, no one else is gonna come help you out, so go, stay proactive, get involved with the campus, and go seek all the resources and help as needed. That goes a long way.
I'm gonna.
Sorry. Okay, I'll say that just the same thing, like, look for resources, because I feel like we are sometimes really hard on ourselves. I would say that you're more capable of what you think you are, and we are the ones that put limitations within, ourselves. And just look for resources. It's okay to ask for help. I know sometimes that's difficult, but yeah, just look for support. I think that's important within your first year of college.
Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, just touching on the same thing, keep networking, keep taking advantages of all the workshops and resources on our campus, because we are paying like a lot of money, so we need to definitely take advantage of that. Another thing, probably develop a habit to work ahead, because we are so busy in life that sometimes we wait till the last minute, we procrastinate, and then other challenges may come up, and then we're stuck busting like an all-nighter just to finish up an assignment or anything like that. And self-care too, we need to make sure we get enough sleep and that we eat, because I know I've gone maybe days where I just eat one day, or I get 3 hours, 4 hours of sleep. So self-care, very important.
Thanks for that, Fernie. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what you said is pretty much what I was going to say too. I think if little Omar was sitting in front of me right now, I would say get out of your comfort zone Don't get too comfortable, and don't forget to eat. Because little Omar, and even President Omar, has a problem with eating.
I take that pretty serious. I do it a lot.
And I'm sorry if I missed part of the question. Is this first year in college or first year in the EC program?
Yeah, that was in college.
First year in college.
First year in
Yeah,
college,
first year.
all right. First off, I'm proud of you for even taking this step and going in higher education when no one else knew what to do with you. Like, you know, just open up for sure. Like, I was very closed off, thought there was no one I could turn to, and there's people out there that were willing to help. Maybe I didn't say my words right, so definitely just listen as well. Like, again, maybe someone was trying to help me and I just didn't understand. So just be open. Definitely what you said as well, Omar, just get out of your comfort zone, because little Michael was very shy. And I'm pretty sure if I just would have asked for help, would have definitely made community college a lot easier. And I'm pretty sure there would have been that one person willing to extend their hand. So definitely my advice.
For my advice would be definitely getting out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to reach out to professors, to counselors, or whoever you feel comfortable, and you build that trust and that community in that. Along with that too, like, don't be afraid to try new things, really get yourself out there. Like, especially you'll find your sense of community, you'll find your people once you're in the campus, and definitely just keep your heart, mind open, and just be yourself, and know that you do belong on this campus, and you're not alone, and you deserve to be here, and there's a reason why you're here, and always know your whys, and definitely, most importantly, definitely take care of yourself. Definitely, like, don't overwork yourself, and just trust the process and enjoy the present and enjoy the experience and the moment.
Awesome.
Well
Awesome.
said.
Great pieces of advice
Yeah.
Great advice.
across the board. Well,
Yeah.
this was Pass Me the Mic, Cohort 24 edition. I just want to thank Fernie, Susan, Brenda, James, and Michael
And
for the
Omar.
contributions.
Omar.
And you got your boy Omar over here facilitating the mic. Don't forget to check out, if you're listening to this, check out the rest of our cohort's videos.
Like and
More
subscribe.
knowledge. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Cohort 24 out.